You don't plant multi-ethnic churches in order to just that's not the primary goal. The primary goal is to make disciples of Christ.
Welcome to West Ohio Conversations. I'm media producer Brandon Abbott. This episode is a continuation of our ongoing series titled Around the Connection, where we speak to individuals and leaders in the United Methodist Church whose work extends beyond West Ohio. Today I'm speaking with Samuel Rodriguez, who's the director for Hispanic, Latino, and multi-ethnic new church starts for Discipleship Ministries. Here's our conversation.
My name is Samuel Rodriguez. I work for Discipleship Ministries in Path 1, which is a new church start division. I serve as director of Hispanic, Latino, and multi-ethnic church starts, and I've been doing that for about 8 years already. It's been quite a learning experience to get into actually something that was somewhat new in terms of a focus on planting new churches in the denomination. That is, there were some annual conferences that we found out as we started this work that hadn't planted in 10, 20 years. So we definitely knew that we were in the right track and that the advocacy, training, consulting, networking was something that was needed within the denomination in order to really get people to consider church planting in their annual conference.
What are some of the challenges that you've run into in what you do?
Some of the challenges is that many people say, well, what do we need a new church for if we got all these churches that are in this particular area, for example? Why do we need to start a new church in my area? It's going to take away the people from my area. And that's not the case, because for the most part, when a new church starts in a particular area, it usually the people that come in are new people. At least half of them are not even church people, or may have been unchurched, if you will, left the church for whatever reason at some point. So that is the major challenge, is that a lot of people don't see the need for new churches based on the fact that as a denomination we do have quite a lot of churches throughout the country.
One of the things that you mentioned was a diversity in culture and in the congregations you work with. Could you unpack that a little bit, like how diversity plays into church planting?
What we're trying to do in promoting multi-ethnic churches is to bring up the fact that many communities are very multi-ethnic, and that the churches that are United Methodist churches that are there are homogeneous and don't reach that particular population. After a few years, that church will die and close if it does not reach this new population. So what the challenge is, how do we get the church culture to accept the need to bring in new cultures into the congregation? The way I personally see it, if we don't start planting multi-ethnic churches quickly, we're going to lose out. And other churches are going to be planting multi-ethnic churches, and our shrinking denomination or declining denomination is going to decline even faster, because presently the membership within the United Methodist Church in the United States is 90% Anglo. So that means only 10% of the membership is other than Anglo. And when you compare that to the fact that within 20 years or so, maybe a little bit more, half of the population is going to be multi-ethnic, that just it's a warning that we really need to start focusing in on intentionally planting multi-ethnic churches by providing an ethically diverse launch team. You don't plant multi-ethnic churches in order to just that's not the primary goal. The primary goal is to make disciples of Christ.
If that resonates with someone who's going to listen to this, what's their next step to get involved with a multi-ethnic community or with planting? What should they do?
My recommendation would be to reach out to people who happen to be different than you are. A lot of times we have to intentionally put ourselves in the context where We are the minority, if you will, and put ourselves in a place where we're willing to be learners and not just the people who bring the knowledge, or whether it be biblical knowledge or any other kind of knowledge. So one of the main things that I've learned over these years, especially when I've started considering multi-ethnic church and the importance for it, has been that the best way to learn is to be humble, the way Christ was humble, and being the Son of God, who didn't ever take advantage of being God here on earth. So I would say to start with a willingness to learn, a willingness to be humble, a willingness to take risk and ask questions. People from other cultures tend to give us a lot more grace than we think that they're going to give us, because they see that, again, once again, that we're coming from, we want to learn about you because we want to have a better relationship with you. And I think that's the key in terms of, you're doing this because you want to know who I am. You want to know not only what I eat, not only why I dress the way I dress, not only my language, but also what are my convictions? What are my values? What are my dreams? Those are the things that make true relationships. If someone's sharing their dreams, their values, their convictions, then you are in a much more profound relationship than if you're just talking about customs, foods, language, and so on.
Is there anything else you would like to say to the people of West Ohio?
This is the first time that I have been in an annual conference, first of all, so large, but also so diverse. And that, too, has given me hope, to tell you the truth. I've seen more diversity, and not only diversity, just, seeing different groups of folks, like Asian groups, Hispanics, African Americans in one place, but the fact that they are commingling, that they are having conversations with each other constantly. So it's not enclaves, if you will. It's not small groupings of ethnic groups hanging around an annual conference. It's an integrated, large gathering of ethnic folks who happen to be Methodist in an annual conference.
Thank you for joining the conversation. West Ohio Conversations is a production of the West Ohio Conference of the United Methodist Church. We invite you to keep up to date with all our future podcasts by subscribing on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. For additional information about everything happening here at the West Ohio Conference, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or visit our website, westohioumc.org. If you would like to suggest a topic or idea for a future podcast, send us an email at mychurchstory@wocumc.org. Thanks for listening.